I rejected a friend years ago, but we stayed friends platonically. Now he lied and told my boyfriend we were sleeping together, and my boyfriend believed him. I want to say to start off with that I realize how messed up a situation this is, and I understand why my boyfriend would be upset and even suspicious, but I can't believe he doesn't trust me. So, I've been with my boyfriend, Paul, for 3 years. We are both 25. In the beginning of our relationship, Paul had some issues with trust. He had been cheated on in the past. I made it clear right away that I had never cheated on anyone, that I would not, and that I understood if he had trust issues from the past, but that it was a deal breaker to me to be with someone who couldn't trust me. He has, since those early days, been really good about it, and throughout our 3 years together, I think I have earned his trust. I have always been honest with him and never cheated on him. He's asked to see conversations of mine that I've had with male friends twice over those 3 years, and I've obliged. The second time, however, I made it clear to him that I was very unhappy to be treated as though I was acting suspiciously and did not deserve privacy with my friends when he had no reason at all to think I was being shady. I said that if he didn't trust me because of something I had said or done, I was 100% happy to have a conversation about that, to discuss it, and to address any issues he had, but if I had done literally nothing to cause suspicion, then I expected him to trust me. He agreed with me, said that I had done nothing, and never asked again. Once of those conversations he asked about was with my friend Roger, 24. Roger had, 2 years before I started dating Paul, confessed feelings of love for me. I told him I wasn't interested, and that was that. By the time I was seeing Paul, I had absolutely no reason to think things were anything but platonic between Roger and myself. A week ago, Roger and I got together for coffee. Again, I want to stress that before this happened, I had literally no reason at all to think he had held on to those feelings. At the cafe, Roger suddenly went on this impassioned monologue about how much he still loved me, how Paul was a terrible boyfriend and I should dump him and be with him, how loyal he was, how perfect we were together, etc. I was pretty much silent through this whole speech because I was so surprised and uncomfortable, but when he stopped I told him, probably not as strongly as I should have, but I didn't know what to do, that I loved Paul, that I was absolutely not leaving Paul, and that I needed to go home immediately. I was shaken up by the whole thing, so I took my time getting home to calm down. But by the time I got home, I found that Roger had sent a long, utterly insane Facebook message to Paul detailing how much he loved me, that we were destined to be together, and heavily implying, but not outright stating, that Roger and I had been carrying on an affair for weeks. I don't know why he did this. I have no explanation. Paul believes it completely. He has listened to my explanation of things, but thinks I am lying. He doesn't want to see me or talk to me at all anymore. I'm completely devastated that Paul would believe this Facebook message over me. I'm horrified that my relationship with him has ended like this. I'm embarrassed that now I'm being seen as a cheater and a slut who slept around on Paul. I'm utterly hateful toward Roger. It's been a week, and I can't convince Paul to talk to me. I know he had those trust issues in the past, but I really believed we were long past them. What do I do? Best comments. None of this is your fault. Your friend is acting irrationally. However, the lesson here is clear. When a friend confesses romantic feelings for you, it's wiser not to maintain that friendship and cut him or her out. I genuinely believe a man and a woman can't stay close friends once one confesses feelings. In that situation, the friendship has to end. At this point, there's not much you can do except hope Paul eventually comes around. I definitely hear what you're saying, but I just want to point out I never believed feelings would magically evaporate. Roger said he loved me 5 years ago. We were distant from each other for about a year after he told me he loved me, then reconnected through mutual friends, and were friends for a year before I dated Paul. During that year, he acted totally platonically around me, and I guess I thought he had had enough time to get over his feelings. He's been totally platonic as well for the 3 years I've been with Paul. Obviously, I was wrong, and you are right about how I should have cut him out. But I didn't think the feelings would just disappear. I thought the year we weren't really in contact had made them go away. He didn't get what he wanted, so he burned everything to the ground. Women and their so-called platonic male friends don't exist. 99% of those guys would sleep with their female friends, if given the chance. In the future, stop hanging out with men who are clearly in love with you or give you more attention than just a normal friend does. It never ends well for anyone involved, especially if you are in a relationship. Update number 1, 4 days later. I want to thank everyone so much for commenting. Before I post what happened, I just want to address a few things that I didn't get to in the first post. First, Paul knew I was having coffee with Roger. It wasn't some kind of secret thing. Paul has female friends he has lunch or coffee with alone too, so this isn't unusual in our relationship. Second, Paul did not know that Roger had said he loved me 5 years ago. I definitely made a mistake not telling him that, but honestly, it was so long ago and to my obviously wrong knowledge was old history. We did not extensively discuss our past, so there wasn't really a natural point where it would have come up, and it just never occurred to me to say anything. Finally, Roger and I did not have a particularly intense friendship. It's not like we were texting constantly or best buddies. We hung out occasionally and would be in touch if something relevant came up, but we didn't just chat randomly. Anyway, with that having been said, I took the advice of some Redditors, and when I was a little calmer, I messaged Roger asking him why he lied. He responded with, "What do you mean?" At which point I started pressing him harder. He responded only with one-word answers and honestly didn't reply to most of my messages at all, no matter how much I asked, and never actually said any definitive statement of, "Yes, I lied for such and such reason." Finally, I sent him a definitive statement that said I had never had an affair with him, that I was incredibly hurt and angry, that our friendship was over, and that he was never to contact me again. He replied, "Okay," and that was that. I sent the entire conversation to Paul, not thinking it would help save us, but just to try and clear my name. In the message, I asked him if Roger's reactions to my questions, and my response to Roger was in line with what he would expect if Roger's accusations were true. Paul didn't respond that day, but the next day he called me. Paul basically said that the more he thought about it, the more he believed me, and that the conversation between Roger and I helped him believe that. That Roger's responses didn't make sense, and that he now thought nothing had gone on. However, he said despite that the trust was broken between us, and he couldn't be with me. I got pretty mad and yelled at him, asking why I was being punished for nothing, and he just basically disengaged from the discussion. Not my finest moment, I know. I was just so overwhelmed with frustration. We did eventually end the conversation calmly, if not amiably, and he is dropping off the stuff that I had left at his apartment later this week. I learned my lesson. Not only will any declaration of interest by a friend end that friendship forever, but I will never date someone who has trust issues or a history of being cheated on again. I'm sure I come across as a little bitter about this, but honestly, I feel like there was absolutely no point to my fidelity and honesty during those 3 years. I got treated like a cheater whether or not I cheated, and both Paul and I ended up hurt and alone despite being 100% faithful. Better to end up alone or stick to friend with benefits than end up investing another 3 years in a relationship to have this be the conclusion. Best comments. I can't understand Roger. How does he live with himself? I could never do that to someone. I suspect, based on what I know of Roger, that he got angry when I rejected him and impulsively sent the message to Paul. He's not usually a psycho, so I'm betting that after a bit he realized how terrible what he had done was, and that is why he avoided me/refused to talk to me when I messaged him. Why he wouldn't apologize or try and make it right, I have no idea. I thought that this would be possible, but honestly, I got a ton of comments, and still am getting them, saying how ridiculous I was to ever imagine I could continue to have someone in my life who once confessed feelings for me. A lot of people have pointed out that by allowing Roger to be a friend or a part of my life at all was a huge mistake, and frankly, looking at the result, I have to agree. I may write off some decent people, which would be a shame, but this has convinced me that I can't allow anyone in my life that might be holding or have at some point held feelings for me if I don't return them. I suggest you calm yourself and avoid doing things you'll regret later. Getting caught in a spiral of casual flings and meaningless relationships might protect you emotionally for now, but eventually, you'll meet a good guy, and then things will get complicated. Having a wild phase after your last relationship could easily create new problems for your future one, because then you'll have to talk about your past, and if he's serious, he might not like what he hears. He may end up treating you as just another casual thing as well, and not see you as the kind of woman he wants for a long-term relationship.